Hello and welcome to the No Balls Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald, with me co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today we are doing the Houston Rockets off-season recap and preseason predictions episode. If you do not know, we do all 30 teams. We give them their own episode. Today we're doing Houston. Before we get started, Sheldon will have a Rockets-related trivia question. What's the
All
move for
right.
today?
Um, the Rockets, they came to have some pretty cool jerseys through the mid 2010s. A really cool one that I liked seeing James Harden cook in was the Chinese version. The Chinese jerseys commemorating the Chinese basketball at that time before there was some falling out that we won't talk about. But what year did the Houston Rockets officially debut their their Chinese New Year jerseys? It was in February against the Toronto Raptors. What year, Pat?
Yo, this might be a crazy pull. Um, if I remember correctly, school's canceled from a hurricane. Chilling in my grandmother's room playing NBA Live Mobile,
Okay.
and they drop an event for James Harden on the Chinese New Year. Um, I want to say that would be 2017, the year before they got
Oh,
Chris Paul.
very close. Off by a couple years. It was 2015.
Oh,
February 21st, 2015 was the first year. So they wore them for a while because in that year, because I think Harden wore it before Chris Paul, but Chris Paul also wore those jerseys too. So it ran for a while. So that was the little. I knew I would get you a little bit because those it went back pretty far, like 2015. That's kind of crazy that that's when they debuted. But those are one of my favorite jerseys. Like when you could pick your own in 2K, I always love to rock those for the Rockets, and I think the Wizards had some as well. But yeah.
never heard of the Wizards having them. I do vividly remember like the slight like yellow orange color on the Rockets jersey. That was awesome. Too bad 2K Live Mobile didn't carry my memory there. I guess that was 10 years ago. So
That was their bro. I thought you were gonna match it up. I was gonna be like, all right, bro. This man needs to like go to this needs to go to the law enforcement, be a detective, bro. Like
yeah,
that's
like
crazy.
you're gonna
But
have to like pull up the CIA to get a trivia question.
yeah. Um.
Um, no, but that's probably the best trivia question, just for the novelty of that trivia question. Uh, I guess we'll now talk about the 2025 Rockets because they were also pretty fun, like those Chinese New Year jerseys. Here they are. They have much worse jerseys, but I think they're pretty solid. I think the H-Town City jerseys are pretty sick. 2025, they were 52 and 30, second in the Western Conference. Uh, their 52 and 30 expected record was seventh in the NBA. Their SRS, which is opponent adjusted net rating, is fifth in the NBA. Um, 29 and 12 at home games, 21 and 18 on in road games. That is weirdly definitely not the right number. It definitely should say 23 and 18 on the road. Um, 34 and 21 pre All-Star break, 18 and 9 post All-Star break, 21 and 9 versus the East, 31 and 21 against the Western Conference. In clutch games, they had a minus 1.9 or 0.9 net rating. It ranks 18th in the entire NBA, and they were 26 and 18 in clutch games. Somehow managed to be a good clutch team despite not having good clutch net rating. Shout out Ime Udoka. What a wonderful job he did there. What do we have to say here with the Houston Rockets?
Um. Yeah. So overall, really good season. Not much to say. I will say that is a lot of clutch games, Pat. I might be mistaken, but I feel like out of the teams we've looked at so far, this has been the most pretty big number. But yeah, main reason that the negative net rating is 18th, right? Not 8th.
it's negative
Okay.
18.
So, yeah, but I'm actually surprised that they won so many games. A big flaw for this Rockets team last year is they didn't have a go-to guy, and in the clutch, you need a go-to guy. We will talk about how they addressed that hugely in the offseason. Um, but overall, like a really good season. They did good against the East, they did good against the West, and they were second in the West. Really unfortunate what happened in the playoffs, going seven and losing to Golden State. Kind of crazy. Shout
Okay,
out to
I don't know how I've done
what?
this, but I don't even, maybe I just didn't change it from the last team. Um, because they are 16th in clutch net rating. The record is
Okay,
correct.
okay,
And the number is correct, but they were 16th. Games played wise, they were tied for third as far as most clutch games.
yeah,
And
okay.
not to spoil too much from the lineup data section, but a big reason of why there's so many clutch games and why they still managed to win so many clutch games, their starting lineup sucked.
Yeah.
So they would be blowing teams out, and then the starting lineup, comes in and then makes it a clutch game. But they had so much of a lead that they still would win the game. That was kind of the theme for the Rockets. Um, Talking about their offense, they were 13th in offensive rating, which, based off of the way people talked about Houston's offense, sounds pretty damn good. 11th in uh, preventing turnovers, first in offensive rebounding, which I think is the identity of their offense. 18th
Yeah.
in pace. Some big standouts here. First in offensive rebounding, they could really do it. And I think where that coincides is, I'll just go ahead and skip to it. Third in post up efficiency, with the fourth highest frequency of post ups. They were
Wow.
really good posting up. Posting up was like kind of the key to their double big offense, and we'll talk about that in the scheme section. Otherwise, isolation, pick and roll, or isolation efficiency was 24th, 11th highest frequency. They were not very great, and they did run a good bit of isolation. Some of that is like Shengun's so high up, that it's tracked as an isolation drive rather than a post up. Um, but then a good bit of it is also isolation, as pick and roll ball handler efficiency was 18th with the ninth highest frequency. Um, they ran an average amount of pick and rolls. It looks higher. They never hit the rollers. They were 20th in roller frequency because they also sucked at scoring in the roll, which was 0.09, which is 29th. And I instantly had to look at this. I was like, why is this the case? Steven Adams and Shengun were like really bad roll roll men last season, which I would not have thought of immediately, but it kind of makes sense. They're like, Steven Adams is like big strong man and he'll smoke a couple extra layups. Uh and then Shengun like isn't like a super explosive guy to catch and go up off of like a single step. And they also just didn't have, they had a couple decent passers, but a lot of the guys running a ton of pick and rolls aren't great passers.
Got Ben
Um,
Thompson.
yeah, and they never ran pick and rolls with him. So,
Oh.
um, I'll quickly back up that as we talk about their offense. But transition wise, 15th in frequency, 22nd efficiency, something they can definitely improve on for sure. Because they have athletes all over the floor. When I did a NBA film room on them, that was something that stood out. Was once their defense became more disruptive, their offense was automatic. What do you have to say about their offense as I sift through their pick and roll numbers?
It's it's these numbers are crazy to me. I'm a little shocked how inefficient they were, considering they're a 13th ranked offense. And it's, I mean, the post up stuff is crazy. This is the best, definitely the best like efficiency slash frequency I've seen from the post up. Fourth, doing it a lot and getting a lot of success. That's awesome. When you have Sengun being that guy that can post up so well, I think that adds a lot to it. I mean, the stuff that they were running frequently, they weren't very good at. The ball handling and the roller stuff definitely is something that should be addressed. I think for sure. And yeah, they just didn't get out in transition a lot, so that's also it's just a little weird. They have a lot of athletes, and you think of Ben Thompson, you think of just fly dunks on transition, you know. Um, but yeah, uh, the offensive rebounding stuff's really good. Yeah, the pace stuff is just 18th in pace. They weren't really trying to get up the floor that much. But when you're getting a lot of those offensive rebounds, that helps. I think that's something to definitely build on. And when you have the two bigs plus really good rebounder and Amen Thompson and a guy that's physical like Dylan Brooks, you're going to get a lot of rebounds.
Yeah, the offensive rebounding is like kind of the key because they rebounded 36% of their misses, which was 3% higher than the next team. Which is like a huge gap because that's the difference between second and like 15th. So they were like such an efficient offensive rebounding team that it like actually like saved their offense on the pick and roll ball handling reference. Amen Thompson ran the third most amount of pick and rolls a game and was like fifth as far as like percentage of his possessions on the floor being pick and rolls. Their best. Do you want to take a guess of who their best pick and roll handler was last season?
Was it was it Brooks or Eason? One of those two?
No, it was Aaron Holiday at 104. Um,
Of course. How
yeah,
silly of me.
of course it was. Yeah, anybody outside of like, Jalen Green was actually pretty decent as a handler, and Fred VanVleet was fine. Aaron Holiday was fine. Amen Thompson was fine. Everybody else was generally not great. Eason and Shengun ran a good bit and were pretty decent, but it was like for half, maybe a possession a game they would run a pick and roll. So, yeah, offensive wise, there's that. Defense, we'll try to go through the defense because we spent 10 minutes on the offense. Fourth in defensive rating, 16th in forcing turnovers, ninth in securing defensive rebounds. These are great signals, as you can tell. Isolation wise, 23rd in defending isolation, but they did force a ton of isolation attempts, seventh in that category, which is a great sign. Even if you didn't defend them great, isolation possessions aren't good, generally. Pick and roll ball handler defense was eighth, second highest frequency. Again, we like to see this. We like to see teams having to shoot a ton of pull up mid range jump shots coming off of a pick and roll. We like to see those things. We like to see rushed shots at the rim against a drop big, which is what they generally like to do with Schengen. Pick and roll roller defense was 24th, 20th in frequency. Again, you can see they sold out a little bit to the handlers, a little bit. It'll leave them a little compromised. They also didn't have great rim protection with their centers with Schengen and Adams. Post up defense was second in the league, eighth in frequency against. It's a very great sign. They have a lot of big, strong, long, lengthy guys out there. And then transition wise, fourth in opposing transition offense, and efficiency wise, 21st defending against the transition offense. Um, yeah, anything that you would like to say on the Houston Rockets defense?
Yeah. The rim protecting seems to be a little bit of a like an issue. Like the guys that they have are really good rebounders, but it hurts them a little bit um on the defending the roller side. But also teams weren't really running it that much against them, so I guess it's really not the worst thing. But I mean, you look at these numbers, Pat. Teams are running a lot of things against them a lot of times. If that makes sense, what I just said. Fourth, eighth, second, seventh. And they were okay at defending some of it. The transition numbers again really are concerning. I think like if teams are running it a lot against you and you're giving up a lot of points, that's just like a lot of easy points that can kill you fast and like get you down on runs or spark runs for other teams. Um, yeah, uh, the rebounding stuff's really good. They still were a great defensive team though. Like fourth in the league is crazy considering there's a lot of red on here. Um, but I mean, they had such good individual defenders, and Udoku just did some really cool stuff throughout the season too. So yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, but they obviously were still a good enough defense. Uh, yeah.
They were second in defending spot up possessions. We don't usually track it here, but that is a quarter of NBA offensive possessions. It's just generally like 10 points between the best spot up and the worst spot up offense, and a lot of that's just like, oh, you got a little unlucky at opponents shooting threes a couple times, and you're going to be a little bit worse. But they were very good defending in that situation. Right ahead of them was the Wizards at first, so maybe I just left that out so the Wizards wouldn't be first in something. Um, anyway, they were a great defensive team. They have a ton of length. They prioritize strength. Right. Can't give the Wizards too much credit. People didn't like the positivity of the Wizards episode. Um, Other than that, or unless you have anything else, we can move to scheme talk. We will do just that. Um, Team scheme and coaching. Ime Udoka is their head coach. GM is Raphael Stone. We talked about as one of the better GMs in the league. Royal Ivy. I don't want to mess up the national team he's the coach of, but he was in talks to be a head coach somewhere a little bit. Ended up sticking around as the assistant coach. Ben Sullivan, assistant coach, and Cam Hodges, another assistant coach here under Ime Udoka. This whole staff has been here for 3 seasons. We think they've done a great job. We talked about it last year. We were both pretty ambitious on what we thought they could have been this year, and they even exceeded our expectations. Anything here, coaching wise, Raphael Stone wise, scheme wise, what do you got to say?
Yeah, Raphael Stone made a big splash this offseason. We're definitely will be talking about it. And I think it was a really important one, and one that needed to be made it, and one that's going to make this team a lot better. Kind of like what you said, one of the better GMs in the league that we've talked about. Ime Udoka, what a job he's done since coming over. Um, as far as like scheme things, the biggest thing that you probably have to talk about was the double big stuff that he was able to do this season with Sengun and Steven Adams. The posting up with Sengun was a big part of the offense, kind of letting him facilitate slash just shoot in the mid range area and the post up area. Let him work with his post game and find those cutters that are pass those cutters like Amen Thompson, and guys in the perimeter like Van Vliet and Brooks. And they were a team that liked to get to the rim. They didn't like to shoot a bunch of threes unless your name was Jalen Green. But besides that, you were pretty much trying to pressure that rim. A thing that worked for them a lot. Um, yeah, Pat, you want to talk a little bit more about some of the double big stuff they did?
It was sick, and like I have a whole lineup data section about those double big lineups. So we've previewed everything about the lineup data section already, but yeah, I mean it was really good. They learned that like if you post up Shengun and you put Steven Adams in the dunker spot, opposing teams really can't do anything to clog up the court because you can't leave Steven Adams because he will just absolutely destroy a guard trying to crash in to put a body on him. And then like Shengun has the ball in the post and is a good passer, and like they tried to do their best to surround them with whatever shooters they have, even if come playoff time they didn't have any shooters. Yeah, I mean they just it really works for them. And I think as they've got Kevin frickin' Durant, so that's a
Oh,
shooter right
there
there
we
to put
go.
next to
We
these
got to
lineups.
say his name. They know we're saying his name this early, but the cat's out the bag. They do have him.
Yeah, for those who didn't know, they got Kevin Durant. If we're breaking news for anybody, um,
For those that get
man, it would
their
have been.
basketball content strictly from the No Balls podcast and nothing else. Your first time hearing of the trade.
Yeah, sounds like probably just my mother. Um, other than that though, like I think the moves have been great. I think Ime Udoka there's not too much to criticize about his coaching. You can obviously poke holes at damn near every head coach, but he's consistently formed good defenses in Boston, now here, and Houston. And I think Raphael Stone also needs to get a good bit of credit because they've drafted extremely well outside of maybe a pick. Um, the team would be a lot better with Evan Mobley. I'll just say that. But yeah, other than that, I mean, they're pretty spotless here. Like they head coach, GM, stable, and that's why they're winning 50 games after like being pretty much a laughing stock for like 3 years after they traded James Harden. Um,
Yeah.
I guess they were competitive in 2024, but we've given them their flowers. Let's go draft summary. Nothing. Knew I had some time to make up later in this. This is correct, right?
Yeah, I'm tweaking because I did stuff for Malwatch. Malwatch is on the Suns. I got and like when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
read when I was looking for the draft picks, and I saw that it didn't even like. I'm sorry. Yeah, no draft picks. Yeah, that's that's on me. That's on me. I don't know what. I just didn't even think about it. I didn't even.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
you just wrote down
I guess.
Watch for this section, not even thinking about the team.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I wrote. Well, when I looked it up, I looked up to see if they had any other draft picks, and for some reason it said they had Malwatch, and I just mindlessly was like, okay, I'm gonna do Malwatch. So I guess,
Yeah,
but we already talked about Malwatch, right? Not yet.
no,
There
no.
you
We
go.
talked
I'm
about.
already ready for the Suns episode. One less thing I got to do for that.
Let's go.
All right.
We're always hyped for the Suns episode. um,
uh,
well, for some reason the NBA just has like they do not want to like announce trades before they're official. Like on the draft cam, Malawatch has the Rockets hat on, and like it's created some really fun ones. Like Shea has the Hornets hat when he gets drafted.
and
Um,
Luca has the Hawks.
Jamal Murray, yeah, Jamal Murray's pick got traded in the Carmelo Anthony trade, but he still has the Knicks hat on. Um, 6 years later. But yeah, I mean, it's just why can't we do these things, guys? Like Shams is announcing on the draft that trades are happening. Kevin Durant's trade wasn't complete until like 2 months after the draft. And it ended up being a 5-team trade. We'll talk about Kevin Durant. If you didn't know, Kevin Durant is on the Houston Rockets. This is what his sixth team, right?
Thunder,
Fifth.
Warriors, Nets,
Suns,
Suns.
Rockets.
Yeah, fifth. That's
Fifth team
crazy.
for Kevin Durant. I feel like he's got to be the best player of all time to play for 5 teams, unless
Yeah.
or Shaq. No, yeah, but it's like him and Shaq.
There's a difference between Shaq's like playing days near the end of his like fifth team and Kevin Durant on his fifth team. Let's
Yeah,
preface that
like
real quick though.
yeah, Shaq did pick up a couple after he was definitely washed. Kevin Durant is like only probably washed now, and that's a lot of people will like crucify you if you say that, but
Like, I guess washed considering what he used to be, but like he's still a top tier
yeah,
NBA player, or not top tier, but like he's in that. He's like that upper echelon of B. I
yeah.
feel like
Like going into the year,
in
I
the
ranked him at
NBA.
15.
Yeah. See,
And
like
that was like a crazy hot take. But coming back after a year now, like I am very
that's
much
calm.
comfortable with
That's
where
calm.
I ranked him. And I
Yeah.
feel like he's basically stayed there. Like, maybe he moves down a spot or two, or maybe he moves up a spot or two with
Yeah.
two guys just blowing out their Achilles. Other than that, though, like post prime Durant, after he tears his Achilles, right? Like, is he generally a little bit overrated? Maybe, but he's still such a great shot maker that like you can build an offense roughly around his skill set. You need to build it very specifically, and I think that's what people don't realize about post prime Durant. But he's still so freaking awesome, and I think he's a great fit with what Houston wants to do. And they gave up Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick, and they got off the horrible Jalen Green contract. What? What
A
a
guy that
transaction!
pretty much sold you the Warriors series too with his offensive performance.
he he had one amazing game. I think he had
144
37.
for
Yeah, he had
37.
37 and was like actually good making decisions on the ball. And the rest of the series, he averaged 7 points on like 20%.
That's a lot of
um,
shots.
and like was getting benched in the playoffs, and you were able to get off of that contract. I don't know how they did it. Raphael Stone has some deep stuff on Matt Ishbia, I guess. But yeah, that's just so much praise for that trade. I was not expecting to like the trade for the team that got Kevin Durant, and well, I think the Rockets did an awesome job. Um, Dorian Finney-Smith and Clint Capella are technically a part of the Kevin Durant trade. Um, they were signed and traded to Houston. Dorian Finney-Smith, $52 million over 4 seasons. Clint Capella, $21 million over 3 seasons. Also added J.D. Davidson, Isaiah Crawford, and Kevon Harris are on two-way contracts. Cameron Matthews is on an Exhibit 10 contract. Uh, you got any of those that you want to talk about?
Ah, man, they had a very nice off season. Not only do you get Kevin Durant, a guy that like gives you like a legitimate one option on this team, because now you have a clear number one offensive option. I think he goes over Sengun. Even though maybe we'll see their offense still kind of run through Sengun at that post, but when you have a guy that you can actually turn to in the clutch, and you know he's gonna, instead of like Fred VanVleet, who he's either gonna he's either going to lock in and go like 3 for threes down the stretch, or completely sell the bag, and then you'll be down 9 before you know it. I think it's great for the Rockets. Dorian Finney-Smith too. This one's really good because like he came into the Lakers. I was very negative on the trade. I hated the trade because I wasn't rocking with the Lakers at the time, so there was a lot of bias there. Not gonna lie, but great defender. I mean, great defender, and he was able to knock down shots too. A thing that I said that he couldn't do. I was definitely wrong on that. This just adds to an already loaded team. And when you lost some wings like Brooks, even a really young guy like Cam Whitmore, I think to have Dorian Finney-Smith is huge. It bolsters your team a lot. And Clint Capella is a really good big for them. Been in the organization before, probably not with a lot of the same guys, but still, he gives you some decent lob threat. I don't really know how great his rim protection is, but um, I mean, it's really hard to replace Steven Adams. I feel like they're doing an okay job with Clint Capella there. So yeah, I love it. I think they did a really good job, Pat. And like Kevin Durant, I can't overstate how great this is to finally have like a go to guy that they have now. And this is a 25 plus per game scorer. Did he last year? Maybe. I'll have the
Yeah,
stats in front of me.
still
Okay.
there.
Okay, good.
He's still there. Like he still
Okay.
gets the points per game, so people think he's not a little bit over the hill, but he still
Yeah.
can score the ball really, really well. Um, I'll put it in these terms: they went from their number one scorer, which Jalen Green was their number one scorer, so people think he's good. Um, they went from that being Jalen Green to Kevin Durant. Awesome. They replaced Dylan Brooks with Dorian Finney-Smith, who's probably a more consistent shooter, and they just added Clint Capella. They re-signed Steven Adams right before the offseason
Oh,
started.
they did?
They just yeah.
Oh, that's huge then. Oh, that's big. Okay, that's really big then. I didn't know they did that. So that Capella signing's even better. I love this now. I love this.
Yeah, am I 100% sure how Clint Capella fits into the starting lineup? Or not the starting lineup, but in the rotation? No. But we'll talk about it a little bit more in the lineup section. I think it's fine adding him for $7 million this year. That is a very tradable deal if they are going to want to make another trade, big trade down the line. A key part of that is because they kept most of their assets in the Durant trade. They still have a couple Phoenix picks. They have a couple Brooklyn picks. I think maybe one Brooklyn pick. Like they cooked this offseason for sure. Notable losses. Oh yeah, you can't see the losses because it's the same color as the background. Didn't really think about that one.
Wait, what do you mean? Oh yeah,
Um,
this part it says notable.
oh gosh, Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks. We mentioned them. They're on the Suns in the Durant trade. Nafali Dante on the Hawks. Uh, not a huge consequential deal. I used to think he would have been something before he went into the league, but you know, G League two-way guy. Jock Lawndale on the Grizzlies. I think they bought him out. Um, Jack McVay unsigned currently. David Roddy is on the Raptors. Cam Whitmore is on the Wizards. They traded 5 second-round picks in the Durant trade. They restocked 2 in the Whitmore deal. And then Nate Williams Jr., it looks like my A is always going to be capitalized. He's unsigned as well at this current point. Do any of these additions, or not additions, subtractions, really stand out to you?
But no, these none of these losses are notable to me, or not notable, but none of them are very impactful because the only ones you can say that are impactful are Greens and Brooks and Whitmore maybe, but Whitmore is impactful. But the main ones, Green and Brooks, you got Kevin Durant for them, so it don't matter. That I'm happy. I'm happy to get them off my team. Also, you lose the contract. Cam Whitmore hurts a little bit because of like what he could have been, but he was not really cracking the rotation for this Rockets team. So I didn't really see a future where he fits in. So and you got 2 second-round picks from him. So it kind of gives you back a little bit of what you lost in the Durant trade. I think it's beautiful job done by GM. I forgot his name, but
Raphael
good
Stone.
stuff. Raphael
Yeah.
Stone. Keep cooking.
And like every significant player, right? They replaced Jalen Green with Kevin Durant. They replaced Dylan Brooks with Dorian Finney-Smith, and they replaced Jock Lawndale with Clint Capella. Every somewhat notable name they replaced, and then Cam Whitmore for them couldn't play, and they
Yep.
replaced him by just slightly refreshing their draft pick capital, which is perfectly fine. If they didn't trade Cam Whitmore now, they weren't going to be able to get 2 second-round picks for him later on at some point. So they, I think they did a great job this offseason. And none of these really hurt because, like I said, they upgraded at all the spots that they traded. Spotrac, here's their books. Kevin Durant is currently extension eligible on an expiring contract. There is rumblings he might take a relative pay cut to the money he's currently making. That is also
Really?
35% of the cap. So yeah. So,
Okay.
he'll take less than 35% of the cap on his next contract is what I've seen from a couple of people, and that would be really nice. Şengün deal's
A
already
couple of
been
your
done.
sources.
Yeah, my sources, I do know Raphael Stone
Who
personally.
can't be
I know
they can't be
every plan
named.
that
They
he's
can't be
doing.
named. They can't be named. These sources are too top secret.
Yeah, I actually know Drake, so he put me on with Fred VanVleet.
Oh. Oh
Um,
word.
yeah.
That's a good one to have.
Okay, other than the Durant stuff and the Schengen extension, Van Vliet they signed to like a very team friendly 1+1 extension, 25 a year. That was like 16 million less than his team option. Uh, Way to go, Houston. Steven Adams, like I said, there's that extension. It's descending, which is great. Dorian Finney-Smith's deal is like pretty non-guaranteed after the first year or the first 2 years. Jabari Smith Jr. they get an extension done with. It was like 125 million over 5 seasons. So actually a lot less than I expected him to sign for. It's also got weird descending numbers, but then it reascends. I'm not exactly sure uh, the specifics on all of that. I'm pretty sure he also doesn't have a player option at the end of it. Um, and then, yeah, other than that, it's rookie contracts. Reed Shepherd has the big rookie contract, but that also could help them in trades. If they do want to make a consolidation trade in the near future, then they have that. They have the Finney Smith contract. They have the Capella deal. Like they can make a lot of stuff work. I think Tari Eason is like the other notable thing. Like they have to work something out for him. He's extension eligible and expiring. We'll have to see. Overall, fans will tell us the cap situation for this upcoming season. So the next offseason they can have cap space. That's assuming they don't re-sign Durant and they don't figure something out with Tari Eason. So whether or not you really evaluate that as cap space, not sure. Either way, they will probably be under the cap coming into next season. I'll quickly confirm that because otherwise it's minimums, and that is also probably assuming Fred VanVleet opts out. So maybe not any cap space next offseason, but maybe the year after. Lineup data. Working two bigs. It might seem hard in the modern NBA, but with Şengün and Adams in
Wow.
162 minutes, they kicked ass.
Wow.
Plus 29.5 net rating.
Wow.
And
That
it
is
was no
crazy.
matter who they used.
Yeah.
These were like the top minute used players: Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Fred VanVleet, Tari Eason, and Amen Thompson. They're all ranging between plus 11 and plus 38.
That's insane. That's
The
insane.
only the only negative was 10 minutes of Jeff Green with the duo. So un-
Wizards legend Jeff Green, bro. That's when Wizards
Uncle
basketball was
Jeff,
popping. If you weren't watching Wizards basketball and Jeff Green was getting serious minutes for us, like you're not a real Wizards fan. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you. Papa Jeff, love him.
oh yeah, they call him Uncle Jeff. I think that
Unc
started. I
Jeff.
don't know when that
Okay.
started. I feel like it started. It started way before they should have been calling him Uncle Jeff.
Yeah.
And then on the left here, on the left here, you see that their starting vibe was terrible. This was Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Şengün, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet. They were a minus 10.5, which seems impossible for a team that was overall like a plus 5 net rating on the season and won 52 games. A minus 10 net rating for your starting five sounds impossible, and that manufactured them more clutch games than there needed to be. Um, Other than that, like as you see, like the way they did double big, it seemed pretty like it was only over 162 minutes, so you can argue that the sample size isn't there. But other than that, it seems like you get a couple shooters out there, and then Şengün can pass, and Steven Adams will kick ass like in the low area, and they'll get rebounds or they'll make shots and they'll kick out the shooters. It works right now. I think you do need to have two shooters and like somebody who's tall out there because neither Şengün nor Adams are good defensively. A big part of it in the playoffs was that they ran a zone defense that was able to like hide that neither of them are great movers, and if that's happening, you do need some guys with length out there. Um, it was such a crazy thing for them to find in 2025 basketball. They find that running two bigs who neither can protect the rim was the way to go. It just and neither can shoot. Just
Hey,
so awesome.
NBA
I love
trophy,
that
baby.
happened in the Big 25. New lineups. So as you can take a look based off of their roster building strategy, they have point guards and power forwards under roster. Originally, I slotted Finney Smith as their backup power forward, and then I was like, oh wait, they have Tari Eason, so he's the third string power forward. And then I'm like, oh my god, they have Jay Sean Tate and Jeff Green, so I guess Finney Smith's the small forward.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I ended up with them starting Van Vliet, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith, Kevin Durant, Alperen Şengün. Huge lineup. The only guy who's not huge is Van Vliet, who's 6 feet flat, but he plays like he's 6'4", and he's actually really good defensively. Um, Nick Nurse point guard in a nutshell. What do we think about this starting lineup?
I love it. I love it. Finally getting like a little bit of an opportunity for Jabari Smith to play some like solid minutes. I think is a real like going to be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, this team is huge. Pause, like you said, and now like you have like legitimate shooting threat. I feel like, um, I don't know. Maybe it was me. I felt like Bricks was a little bit of a shaky shooter, and then outside of that, you didn't really have that much. Now I think you have tall guys that can knock down the three. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You have defenders too. All these guys can play defense, with like the exception of maybe Durant, because he's older and he's gonna have a lot of offensive task and responsibility to take care of. So you're gonna be able to hide it though, and he's still tall enough to at least affect some shots. Uh, and I mean, it's gonna be really fun, and it's gonna be fun to see what their double big lineups look like because they're damn near running them right now.
I think I think their bench is literally going to be double big reliant. Like they're going to play Şengün at the four, and they're gonna put like just a bunch of wings around Şengün and Adams and say like we're gonna out rebound you, and if Şengün doesn't score in the post, then Amen Thompson will be running in after Steven Adams catches or tips out an offensive rebound, and Amen Thompson will run and dunk. Or it's gonna look like that. Or they can also surround it with shooters with Smith Jr., Durant, um, and Van Vliet next to Şengün and Steven Adams. I think in defensive situations they're going to deploy Capella a lot, because he can protect the rim, and neither of their two main centers with Adams and Şengün can protect the rim very well. Şengün did get better. I think we need to point that out, that he did get better last season midway through to defending the rim.
Yeah. So I think I was just saying, um, I really like this lineup a lot. I feel like it gives you a lot of versatility. Like you have the ability to stretch the floor. Like you have shooters, and you also have that ability to go to that Sengun post up. You have the ability to have Amen Thompson cutting to the rim and just dunking on people. Um, Gives Jabari Smith a little bit of opportunity to work. I think him learning from KD is going to be a little really fun to watch. Tall guys that can shoot the ball. Jabari Smith a little bit taller. Um, but yeah, this lineup's fun. They're pretty much running a big lineup right now. You mentioned it before we kind of disconnected about the bench is going to be heavily relying on like a dual big lineup. I wonder how second teams are going to work because I don't think you can run a second team of mainly bench guys with them. I don't know. Um,
Definitely not. I mean,
yeah, I feel
no
like this
team's
team is this
really.
team isn't like crazy deep, but I feel like their starting lineup's going to be like really good enough, and they have guys that they could play and give some certain guys rest. And they will be a contention team, I for sure.
Yeah, and like I was saying, like no teams really run all of their bench together.
Yeah,
And they definitely can't because they have like seven of the same player on their roster, like with Tariq and Jay Tate, Finney Smith, Okogie, and Amen Thompson. Like those are kind of all like it's like the Pokemon evolution. They progressively get better and better. They're all just kind of the same player, and I think the key for me too is they also have the ability to like I guess play small with Durant and Smith Jr. as your front court, and that could be a five out look, or it could be a Men Thompson and five out spacing. Um, yeah, they have a ton of options with the lineup, and I think having those options for Ime to play is good. They also do have one more roster spot. I think for them, what makes sense is like a wing shooter. They probably should get a wing shooter here in the
not
mix.
campaign Pat. Not feeling campaign this time.
Not for them. They already have Aaron Holiday,
I know.
Fred
I'm
Van
just
Vliet, and Reed Shepard, who are 6 feet tall.
no. I know. It's just every I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, campaign's name has been mentioned in every like everyone that has one roster spot left has gotten the campaign shout out from Patrick. So
And I
sad to
hate
see this team.
campaign. I hate
Yeah,
him
I
being
know.
on my
What
team.
shocks me is you don't like campaign, but his name is always being brought up by you. It's interesting.
And it's not even me like being like, oh, the Celtics should sign campaign so we can beat them in the regular. It's like he actually made sense on the Nuggets and the Hawks, which I think were the two teams that I brought him up for because I think he does make
Yeah.
sense for those teams. I don't think here. I think Garrison
No, I
Matthews, Wizards legend, makes a ton of sense here. Uh,
think he was on the Rockets, right? At
he
some
played
point. I
on the
don't know.
Hawks.
Okay, last year. Yeah, I think he was on the Rockets before the Wizards or right after the Wizards.
Man, that sounds. It sounds like he. I think he was on a team. I was thinking Philly, but maybe you would know more about the early career Garrison Matthews lore than me.
That is true.
Um, Other than that, I don't know. I mean, I'm saying they need Garrison Matthews, so to me, it sounds like Raphael Stone will sign Ben Simmons, um, because they need another long player who can't shoot. But they still have another roster spot, and I think it does matter for them because it could bring some bench versatility for them. Like just get a wing or like a two who can shoot. They don't even have to have plus size because your whole team has plus size. Um,
Crazy.
yeah, that's how I would do it. Did you have any different variation of the lineup besides
No,
flipping
I
Smith and
like this
Durant?
lineup. I like this lineup. This is the one you got to roll with. Let Finney Smith come off the bench, be a defensive menace, and knock down a couple threes for you. I mean, you have two elite defenders, if that's crazy to say, but they're two really great ones, and Eason and Finney Smith sitting on your bench there. And then you have the the double big combo. Hey, new nickname? I coined it. Uh, uh, the
No,
double the
there's
double big lineup
definitely a combination of like I
the
don't
Twin
know.
Towers. I feel like that's a
Uh,
solid one.
well, I think the pun is they call him Big Turkey for Schengen, and then um Steven Adams I believe is Lithuanian, so it's like you could do like Lithuanian Thanksgiving. Um,
Okay, well there I like that. I like that. So they have and then you have the threat of the Lithuanian Thanksgiving always being an option. At the
God,
two. The one doesn't really roll off the tongue, but we'll roll with it.
it
Yeah, I
doesn't.
love it. I love it. And then who knows what like Reed Shepard, like people forgot about him. This dude can shoot the mess out of the ball once he gets right. And I think he spent a lot of time in G League getting it right. So let's see. Let's see what he can do. People are forgetting about him. Maybe you don't need to sign a Garrison Matthews because you already have that in Reed Shepard, or possibly better.
Hey, my pre-draft comparison for Reed Shepard was Dante DiVincenzo, and I think that's exactly what you would be targeting with that extra
Yeah,
spot. Um, yeah, I think that is actually, maybe that's our answer for one of the core questions. We'll go ahead and get to them. Is Reed Shepard just like the obvious X factor for them?
yeah, I think so. Because like I feel like everyone else is gonna play like how they should. I feel like if you're gonna get Reed Shepard like doing what he did at Kentucky or what he was supposed to do coming out of the draft, being one of the best shooters in the draft, is that true, Pat? And it's been a
Y-
second, but I feel like you like consensus going into the draft was the best shooter.
Yeah, he shot 50% from three in college.
Yeah, I mean, just didn't really a mix of not getting a lot of playing time and he kind of got sent down to the G League after not like going crazy. But he still had good performances in the NBA. So if you can find that shot, that's huge because that just gives you such a nice shot addition off the bench. Like really nice to go with all that defense and driving that the wings can create.
I I'm pretty sure his splits as a starter are averaging like 22, 5 and 5 on like like actually really good shooting numbers. Um and then like I'm playing like a bench role trying to come in for 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure he was terrible in that type of a role last season, and like he did that in college. Like he came off the bench in college, so it's just kind of surprising that that was a tough adjustment for him in the NBA. So I would kind of chalk it up to like rookie season can sometimes be hard. Everybody had Reed Shepard top 5 in last year's draft. I think he'll be fine. Again, like I said, Dante DiVincenzo, fine NBA player. If he can be like that, DiVincenzo wasn't good for his first 2 years in the league, and then became a really good role player. So um, that's our X factor. I guess we'll Do we? I would say they 100% improved this past season. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, not really a question.
And
We
then
already
I
mentioned
think, yeah, like they upgraded at every spot and setting themselves up better for the future. They didn't dump all of their draft picks and they got off of the Jalen Green contract, which is like actually terrible. Um, he's gonna make 40 million a year, and they were better with him on the bench. Um, so yeah, and not to hate on him too much, but you know, he wasn't great. He's also not Kevin Durant. Um, did you have the same answer for setting themselves up better for the future?
you said yeah for setting themselves better
Yeah,
up. Um, yeah, yeah, I guess because they did upgrade at every position. They just, well, yeah, because Finney Smith's on a good long contract. Like they didn't have any draft picks or anything. I guess would be only my thing, but they did set. I think they should be in a pretty good shape for the next couple of years. So
yeah, and like they didn't like scavenge through the assets to make the moves that they did. Like they gave up Kevin Durant, or they got Kevin Durant by giving up Dylan Brooks and the 10th pick, and got off the. It's such a great trade, such a great trade. Um, Offensive MVP, defensive MVP. What are our answers here?
I think offensive is Durant. Defensive, I'll go Amen Thompson.
Yeah, I think Amen's just gonna play so much that he's gonna be their defensive MVP, and like I think it makes sense. Like he's gonna take primary matchups next year. It looks like. Probably whoever the other team's best player is outside of like centers, he'll take. He'll guard. Well, he won't guard Tatum because Tatum won't play. Um,
He'll guard.
but he'll
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 guard
guard Jalen
Mitchell.
Brown.
He'll guard Jalen Brown. He'll guard Brunson.
He'll
Um,
he'll guard everybody.
yeah,
And unlike most players that you say that about, he doesn't have to guard five players at once. Um, because usually when you're saying that, you're implying that nobody else on the team plays defense. They have more guys who play the defense. So I think this is going to be a great defense. And Amen Thompson will probably make an all NBA defense next year because they're going to be good on defense. And he's going to be the easy guy to point to as their best defender. So those guys always make all defense. Um, and then offensive MVP for me, I think it makes sense to be Durant. Like Şengün was good last season. Like we talked about it, like he struggled finishing from time to time, and like the easy argument is that like he's always been a pretty good finisher, and last year was probably just like an outlier down season, and that's why he stunk relative to his standards last year, and that's why they couldn't score as a role man last season. Um, but it's still Kevin Durant. Like he's such an efficient shooter. He'll give them great floor spacing next year. Um, I think he's a decent connected passer still, even if like sometimes he can still be a step slow. And like the on ball passing is not really good anymore after he's not athletic, but he's still really, really great at basically everything else. I think he still shoots 70% at the rim, even if he doesn't get there as much as he used to. He still makes all of his shots. Durant's awesome. Still a top 20 player in the league, and probably, you know, no, I won't say closer to 10, but he's still a top 20 player in the league. Shout out to Kevin Durant. Shout out to Rafael Stone. This is an excellent offseason. Anything else we have to say on these Rockets?
no, I think we've said our piece. It's gonna be fun watching Katie in a new uniform. You guys are 2K fans. That fadeaway is looking lethal. So make sure to play with them boys online. Either that or the Victor Wembanyama like one dribble creates 10 feet of separation post fadeaway. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun season for the Rockets.
No, the real thing is the post hooks.
Post
the
hooks,
Wemby,
yes. That is a
the
little
3-point
crazy.
post hooks. Oh
Yao
no.
Ming, Yao Ming hitting.
This
Crazy.
This is going up the day that 2K comes out. So I guess next episode in the intro, we're announcing our 2K rebuild teams.
Oh,
Uh, that'll be fun. I think that'll start in like middle of the next month, September, is when that will start. So
when we get the funds to cop 2K.
maybe it'll start a little bit later once the season is actually started. But yeah, that's when to expect all of that stuff. We will see you guys in the next episode